Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. What's the number that it takes to be considered wealthy? How would you answer that question? What's the number that comes to mind? Leave your answer in a comment down below. Every year, Charles Schwab does their Modern Wealth Survey, and every year I do a video on it, and this year is no different. But this year, the data came with a bit of a plot twist, which I loved. It showed that answering this seemingly simple question of what does it take to be considered wealthy is actually incredibly nuanced and complex. But don't worry, we're still gonna pin an exact number to it. At its most basic level, Americans said it would take a net worth of $2.2 million in order to be considered wealthy. And I can say that's right on par with what was said last year and still in line more or less with what was said with the previous years. So our idea of what is considered wealthy has remained fairly consistent. But this year they added another question to the mix, showing that the feeling of wealth may actually hit at a much lower number. Rather than simply asking, what do you think it takes to be wealthy, and leaving it to somewhat of the imagination or a gut feeling, they also asked, do you feel wealthy? And 48% of the survey respondents said yes, but it turns out that their net worth was actually around $560,000. There's a big gap between 2.2 million and 560,000. So what gives? Well, it turns out a lot more goes into feeling wealthy than simply money. Never mind consider how subjective this number truly is. It's going to be influenced by your age, your stage of life, where you live, size of your family, you name it. But survey respondents this year were asked what non-monetary factors went into feeling wealthy. And the answers were things like personal fulfillment, not stressing about money, a good work-life balance, healthy relationships, and what topped the charts was being in good health. And I think it's only fair that an overall assessment of wealth include more than just the ending balance in your bank account. I wholeheartedly believe that health is a huge driving force in determining how wealthy or well off you feel. I had a brain tumor, a meningioma, roughly the size of a grapefruit, that caused paralysis on the entire right side of my body. And you truly don't know how important your health is until you don't have it anymore. Now, I was very lucky. They were able to remove this tumor, and by all accounts, I'm very healthy today. But because of its size, it left a lot of scar tissue, and that left me with simple seizures that affect my life to this day. Luckily, I have an amazing pup who helps me out in this regard. And when you go through those kind of things, your mindset is absolutely, I would trade anything in this world to not have to live like this. But you have to play the hand you were dealt in life. You have to go forward. But I say this to unequivocally add that yes, your health is a huge determining factor in your personal wealth. And a lot can be said for those other non-monetary contributors as well, like having a healthy work-life balance, having a job that provides you with flexibility, and just simply having a job you enjoy. Which it probably comes as no surprise, and in a survey of 33,000 people, both men and women said they would prefer to work a job they enjoy for less money rather than a job they dislike but for more money. Work takes up a huge chunk of our lives, and if you're working a full-time position, you're probably working somewhere around 40 hours, not including any sort of commute. And if you're unhappy at work, that's absolutely going to bleed over into your personal life. And unfortunately, only about 65% of people report being satisfied with their job. We also kind of run into a unique juxtaposition when we see that overwhelmingly it is higher income earners who report the greatest job satisfaction levels and the greatest happiness levels. And perhaps that's because of the nature of higher paying positions. Often they come with more autonomy and more control. And quite simply, there is a correlation between income and happiness. A larger paycheck does have a way of alleviating many of life's stressors. So realistically, it's probably about striking a balance between a career that provides you with the greatest pay and a job that brings you the greatest enjoyment. This Modern Wealth Survey also shined a light on the importance of developing a financial plan. Roughly only 1/3 of people say they have a detailed financial plan, but more importantly, 92% of people who have a detailed financial plan feel confident that they will reach their goals. There's really a lot of power to having a plan, getting clear and writing things down. And often people assume they simply don't need a financial plan. Perhaps they don't think they make enough to have one, it's too complicated, or they simply just don't have the time to do it. But that's nonsense. I want to refer back to the stat that 92% of people who have a financial plan feel confident that they will hit their goals. That stat is simply too good to not be part of. No matter where you are in your journey with regards to income or your career, whether you're just starting out with an entry-level salary or whether you're several decades in your peak earning years looking at retiring in just a few years' time, develop a financial plan and fully expect that this plan will change and evolve over time. Perhaps you might be thinking, what should be included in a good financial plan? Well, here's a good checklist. Start with your goals. This is the fun part. Write down all those goals that are important to you. Short term, anything you want to accomplish within the next 5 years. Midterm, those goals that you want to accomplish in the next 5 to 10 years. And long term, those goals that are more than 10 years down the line. For each goal, include a dollar amount and the date you want to hit it by. The more specific you are, the easier it's going to be for you to measure if you're on track to hit that goal. A net worth statement. It's a really great plan to drop a new net worth statement every single year. And as an added bonus, hold on to all your older net worth statements because it's fun to look back and see all the progress you've made over the course of your life. Your net worth is simply your assets minus your liabilities, and it should be going up over time. A budget. Your budget is really a management plan, assigning a task to all those dollars coming in and all those dollars going out. It's managing your day-to-day operations of your financial life. And it's really at the heart of making sure that you hit every other financial goal you have. A plan for handling debt. Debt can come in a variety of forms. Think a mortgage, an auto loan, student loan, or consumer debt. And if you find yourself in a situation where you have high interest debt, think a credit card, you have to develop a plan to get rid of it as soon as possible. The interest rate on credit cards can be anywhere from 19 to 30%. High interest debt is a wealth killer, and it can really detract you from reaching your financial goals. So if you have high interest debt, make a plan to get rid of it and pay it off as quickly as possible. A retirement plan. We all have a different idea of what our retirement is going to look like. So take some time and figure out what you want your retirement to look like. Then you have to figure out how much that retirement's going to cost. You have to get clear on what target nest egg you're aiming for or what percentage income replacement you're aiming for to reach this goal. Once you have some numbers plugged into this retirement plan, then you can figure out what you're going to need to do to make it a reality. Do you have to build up income streams to get you there, or are you simply saving a set amount per month? Are you taking a different path? There's plenty of free online calculators that you can use to see if you're saving enough to reach your retirement goals. I will link one down below from Charles Schwab since theirs is the information that I'm using for this video. It'll be in the description box. An emergency fund. Having an emergency fund is pinnacle to being on sound financial footing. A typical emergency fund is going to have anywhere from 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up. And this is very important to protect you from life's blind sides. Insurance coverage. Having the necessary insurance coverage to cover life's necessities is again a huge part of every financial plan. Without the proper insurance coverage, you leave yourself vulnerable to a financial catastrophe. Proper insurance coverage is going to include things like medical insurance, disability insurance, home and auto insurance, and life insurance. Now, which insurances you need or how much coverage you need is really going to depend on your life circumstances. But we all need insurance of some sort. And it's simply a reality in America. Without certain insurances, think medical insurance, we could all just be one medical event away from a bankruptcy. Remember that brain tumor I mentioned? I actually totaled up all the bills associated with it, and they came out to something in the ballpark of $1.4 million. Without medical insurance, we never would have been able to handle it. And finally, an estate plan. An estate plan simply tells your loved ones how you want your assets to be handled when you're no longer here. On the most basic level, the vast majority of us should at the very least have a will. As you get further along in your financial journey and things become more complex, you might want a more comprehensive plan. Think a trust. With a solid financial plan in place, you'll be well on your way to achieving your financial goals. And having a solid financial plan can go a long way to removing many of those stressors that surround money. And if you can eliminate those stressors, often that goes a long way to helping you feel wealthier today. So what do you think of this modern wealth survey? Do you feel wealthy? And if not, what do you think it would take for you to feel wealthy? Leave your answer in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.